Kalen Ward was alone in the quiet hangar of the Terran diplomatic station, working late again, just like every other night. He was a human engineer, skilled with wires, circuits, and old machines that most workers refused to touch. While others liked clean desks and bright offices, Kalen liked the smell of oil, the echo of tools, and the calm that came when everyone else had gone home. The station lights hummed softly overhead, and the huge docking bay doors stood open to the dark curve of space that looked like a silent ocean with no waves. Tonight felt different, though. He could not explain why. The air seemed heavier, almost expecting something. A few hours earlier, the station commander had told him to stay behind for an important guest arriving on a damaged Aelari vessel. The Aelari were an alien species known for soft voices, peaceful politics, and confusing customs that humans never fully understood. Most humans had only seen them on screens, and even those videos never showed their culture clearly. Kalen had never met one in person. He didn't even know if they liked human food, handshakes, or loud talking. When the docking alert rang, Kalen wiped his hands on his jumpsuit and stood beside the diagnostic console. A slow metallic screech echoed as the Aelari ship slid into the hangar. The vessel was elegant, with silver curves and glowing blue lines that pulsed like veins. It looked alive, almost like a creature instead of a machine. The landing gear touched the deck gently, and the ship powered down with a soft sigh. Kalen expected a whole diplomatic team to walk out. Instead, only one figure stepped through the ramp. She was tall, slender, and dressed in layered robes that shimmered like clear water. Her skin carried a faint silver sheen, and her eyes were bright, reflective, and strangely calm. Her presence made the air feel colder. Not in a scary way, but in a quiet, gentle way. She moved as if every step mattered. She looked around, studying the hangar with curiosity. Kalen cleared his throat. Hi. The Aelari woman blinked, almost startled by the sound of his voice. Humans talked loudly without realizing it. She lowered her head slightly. A polite greeting in her culture. "You are Engineer Kalen Ward," she whispered. Her voice was so soft that he almost leaned forward to hear it. "I am Saris Valuna, envoy of the Aelari Constellate. My ship needs repair." Kalen nodded quickly. Her whisper felt strange. It was gentle, but surprisingly direct, like wind brushing against his ear. "Right. Yes. I was told you were coming. You can show me the issue." Saris stepped closer and held up a small device that projected an image of her ship's power core. "The primary regulator is unstable. I cannot leave until it is fixed. Return." "I can handle it," Kalen said, though he wasn't fully sure. Aelari technology was advanced and delicate. One wrong touch could cause the whole system to collapse. But he wasn't going to admit that out loud. Saris lowered her gaze again, as if thinking. Then she leaned closer, very close. So close, Kalen could feel her breath near his ear. Her whisper slid into the space between them like a secret. "Do you want me now, or later?" Kalen froze. His brain forgot everything he knew about languages, cultures, tools, and breathing. All thoughts vanished. He didn't even blink for several seconds. His heart thumped loudly, and he was suddenly aware that he was alone in a giant hangar with an elegant alien whispering words that made absolutely no sense to a human in that tone. He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again. What? Saris tilted her head in confusion. She repeated the question, still whispering, still gentle. "Do you want me now, or later?" Kalen's mind spun like a broken engine. He tried to speak, but only half words came out. What do you mean by you?" Saris blinked again. "My assistance. Aelari protocol requires I offer my help to the technician who maintains my vessel. If you wish, I can stay beside you. If you do not, I can wait outside." Kaelin stared at her for another long moment before the meaning clicked into place. She wasn't asking anything strange. It was simply an alien phrase. Aelari ways were soft, formal, and often sounded personal even when they weren't meant that way. He let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Oh, you meant help. Right. Sorry. Human misunderstanding. You can help now. If you want. Sarah seemed relieved that communication was restored. She gave a small nod and moved gracefully toward the ship's open panel. Callan followed her, still shaken by how quickly his brain had betrayed him. Inside the ship, the lighting was soft and blue, like twilight. The air smelled faintly of something sweet, maybe a kind of plant oil used by Aelari engineers. The machinery inside was compact and elegant. Kaelin didn't recognize half of it, but the damaged area was easy to see. Faint sparks danced around a cracked regulator. Saris crouched beside it, her robes pooling like silver water on the floor. Her fingers moved with careful precision, almost like she was afraid to disturb the air around the machine. This rupture appeared after a sudden energy spike near our route, she whispered. I fear it may have been intentional. Callan paused. Sabotage? I do not want to assume. Saris replied. But Aelari ships do not break this way. Saris S. Aelari. Kaelin examined the regulator, noticing strange markings near the crack. They didn't look like typical wear or heat damage. They were too clean, too deliberate. A shiver ran through him. If someone sabotaged an Aelari vessel, that meant someone wanted trouble between their species. He didn't say anything yet. He wanted to understand the system first. As he worked, Saris stayed close, handing him tools without being asked. Every time she spoke, it was in that same soft whisper. So quiet, he often had to lean in just to catch her meaning. But now that he understood her cultural habits, it felt less strange and more intriguing. He wondered how Aelari children learned to speak so softly. Were their homes quiet? Did they whisper even when happy or excited? Saris suddenly asked, Is human work always so loud? Kaelin blinked. Loud? Yes, she whispered. Your thoughts sound loud. Your movements sound loud. Even your silence feels loud. Kaelin wasn't sure how to respond to that. Humans are kind of noisy, I guess. It is not unpleasant, Saris said quickly. Only different. He smiled a little. Well, Aelari, whispers are also different. She paused, then said softly, Do they disturb you? Not disturb, he answered. Just... A faint silver blush appeared along her cheeks, barely noticeable but present. I will try to speak louder. It is difficult. Whispering is respect in our culture. You don't need to change, Kaelin said. I'll just listen better. Saris seemed pleased by that. Her eyes softened, and she continued helping him with delicate wires that glowed pale blue when touched. For the next hour, they worked side by side. Kaelin explained each step of his repair process, and Saris explained parts of the ship that humans rarely saw. The more they talked, the more Kaelin felt the tension fade. Saris was calm, thoughtful, and curious about everything. She asked questions about Earth foods, human music, and why humans smiled with their whole faces instead of just their eyes. Kaelin found himself answering more openly than he expected, but the deeper he looked into the damaged regulator, the more uneasy he became. Something about the markings and the burn patterns didn't add up. Someone had used a tool that didn't belong to either humans or Aelari. A third party. A group that wanted conflict. Saris noticed his quiet worry. You have found something. I'm not sure yet, Kaelin said, but this doesn't look natural. Saris whispered. Then we must be careful. Someone may not want this ship to fly again. Her words hung in the cool air of the engine room. Kaelin felt the weight of them. What started as a simple repair job was turning into something dangerous. He tightened one last bolt and wiped sweat from his forehead. "I can fix the regulator. But we might have a bigger problem." Saris lowered her voice even more, though it was already soft. "We will face it together." Kalen looked at her. Her calm confidence made the room feel steadier. He nodded slowly. He didn't know what danger was coming next, but he knew one thing. Tonight was only the beginning, and it had all started with a whisper that made him forget how to breathe. Kalen returned to the regulator panel early the next morning, long before most station workers woke up. He barely slept, turning over possibilities again and again in his mind. The markings on the regulator haunted him. They didn't belong to any human tool. They didn't match Aelari tools either. Someone wanted trouble, and they wanted it quietly. Kalen knew sabotage could start a chain reaction far larger than anyone expected. One damaged ship could become a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding could become an argument between governments. And an argument between governments could very easily become a spark that burned entire star systems. He rubbed his eyes and tried to push the thought aside. He needed to focus on the facts, not fear. Saris arrived only a few minutes after him, walking softly as always, her steps barely touching the metal floor. She carried a small device shaped like a glowing crystal. "I have brought the Aelari diagnostic stone," she whispered. "It may help us understand what damaged the regulator." Kalen smiled tiredly. "You're here early. Aelari sleep lightly during times of worry," she said. "And we whisper more." He gave a small laugh. "You whisper all the time." Saris paused, then a faint silver shimmer spread across her cheeks. "True. But today, I whisper with more concern." Kalen understood. She wasn't afraid for herself. She was afraid for what this could cause, for her people. They stepped inside the ship together. The soft blue lights brightened automatically when they entered, reacting to Saris's presence. Kalen knelt beside the broken regulator and pulled out more tools. Saris kneeled across from him, activating her diagnostic stone. It floated above her palm, turning gently like a small moon. As the stone scanned the damaged area, thin lines of light extended from it, touching the metal surface. The lines shifted from blue to red, then to a sharp silver that reflected strangely in the air. Saris inhaled sharply. "This is not natural damage." "I guess that much," Kalen said. "But can the stone identify the source?" Saris nodded slowly and watched the colors change again. "The signature belongs to a Draxian tool." Kalen sat back. The Draxian Syndicate was known across the galaxy for smuggling, weapons trading, and creating chaos whenever it benefited them. They didn't follow any government or set of laws. They obeyed only profit. If they sabotaged an Aelari vessel near a human station, then they wanted to spark conflict between two peaceful species. "Do you think they followed you here?" Kalen asked. "Perhaps," Saris whispered. "Or perhaps they were waiting." The Draxian Syndicate often tracks diplomatic routes, looking for opportunities to create fear. Kalen tapped the floor lightly, thinking, if they're hiding somewhere on this station, then we're in trouble. Saris lowered her eyes, her voice even quieter. "We must not panic. We must understand their goal. Only then can we prevent danger." Kalen appreciated her calmness. Even with fear in her eyes, her voice remained steady. He wished he could be as calm. He continued working on the regulator, removing the damaged core and preparing a replacement. Saris watched carefully, handing him tools and explaining parts of the ship's internal systems. She described how Aelari power flowed like water, as if the energy moved in smooth waves instead of sharp bursts. Kalen listened, fascinated. Humans built machines with force and pressure. Aelari built them like natural streams. Their conversation grew more comfortable again. Every time Saris whispered a question, Kalen learned to listen more closely. Every time Kalen explained something loudly, Saris tried to understand his tone. even though loud voices made her flinch slightly. For a moment, the danger seemed far away. That changed when the ship suddenly shook. A loud clang echoed through the hull, and the lights inside flickered. Callan jumped to his feet. Sarah stood gracefully, her eyes sharp and alert. "That came from outside," Callan said. Saris moved toward the exit, whispering, "Stay close." He followed her into the hangar. It looked the same as always, the long, empty space, the parked vessels, the dim lights. But something felt wrong. The air felt heavier. Callan scanned the area. Then, he saw it. A small maintenance drone sat near the wall, but it had no station markings. Its surface looked scratched and mismatched, like a machine built from stolen parts. It crawled slowly toward the Alari ship, its arms carrying something round and metallic. Callan's heart dropped. "That's not ours," Saris whispered. "The Draction." The drone suddenly sped up, heading straight for the underbelly of the ship. Callan rushed forward without thinking. "I'll stop it." "Callan, wait," Saris whispered sharply. But he was already running. He reached the drone and kicked it aside. It screeched, spun, and tried to recover. Callan grabbed the device it was carrying and realized it was a small explosive charger, not strong enough to destroy the whole hangar, but strong enough to damage the Alari vessel badly. The drone extended sharp metal arms and went straight for Callan's legs. Callan stumbled backward. Saris moved faster than he had ever seen anyone move. She touched a small device on her wrist, and a faint wave of energy pushed the drone back like a soft pulse of wind. The drone trembled, sparks shooting from its joints. Callan quickly disarmed the charger and tossed it aside. "That's one drone. How many more can they send?" Saris whispered. "As many as they built." They both looked around the hangar. It was quiet again, but it didn't feel safe. Callan spoke softly, trying not to scare her. "If the Draxian Syndicate is here, then they're hiding inside the station. They could strike again." Saris nodded. "We must alert your commander." Before Callan could step toward the door, the hangar lights above them flickered again. This time, the flicker wasn't random. It was a coded pattern. 2 short flashes. 1 long flash. 2 short again. Saris whispered, "That is not your station's pattern." "No," Callan said. "It's a signal." The overhead lights flashed again, repeating the pattern. Then another drone scuttled out from behind a cargo crate, its lights blinking the same code. This one wasn't carrying a bomb. It was carrying a recording device. "They're watching us," Callan said. "And studying us," Saris whispered. "They want to know if sabotage will succeed." The drone turned toward them, its recording lens glowing. Callan grabbed a nearby pole and swung it hard. The drone shattered and fell to the ground. But he knew there were more. Draction agents didn't rely on just one machine. Saris lifted her diagnostic stone again, and faint streams of light drifted outward like threads. "The Syndicate has hidden energy pockets throughout this hangar," she whispered. "Small machines, maybe more traps. We cannot stay here." "We need to shut the hangar down," Callan said. "But if we tell the commander everything too quickly, people might blame your ship." Saris understood immediately. Her voice softened even more. "You fear a human misunderstanding." "Yes," Callan said. "If humans think Alari tech caused trouble, they might react badly. Your people whisper. My people shout first and analyze later." Saris looked at him with gentle eyes. "Then we must find proof before we speak." Callan took a slow breath. "Let's search the maintenance tunnels under the hangar. If the Syndicate planted anything, that's where it will be." Saris nodded. "I will follow you." "No. No. 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 No." They moved toward the side access panel, where a ladder led down into the narrow tunnels. Callan climbed first, his boots clanking loudly on the rungs. Saris followed silently, like a shadow. Below the hangar, the air was warmer and filled with the hum of power conduits. The narrow passageways stretched in long, twisting lines. Kaelin switched on a flashlight. Saris activated a soft silver glow from her palm. As they walked, Kaelin whispered, "Why are you glowing?" She whispered back, "It is Aelari sightlight. It helps us see living signatures." "Living signatures?" "Anything powered by energy," she explained. Her glow brightened as they reached a junction in the tunnel. Kaelin's flashlight beam caught something small near the wall. A tiny device, tucked into a vent, no larger than a finger. Kaelin crouched. "What is this?" Saris leaned close. "A Draction relay. It records movement and sends information to their agents." Kaelin felt cold. "So they're listening. And watching," Saris whispered. He reached out to remove it, but Saris grabbed his wrist gently. Her touch was cool. "No. If you remove it, they will know we found it." "What do we do?" "We must follow the signal," Saris said softly. "It will lead us to where the Draction are hiding." Kaelin nodded slowly. He was scared, but he also felt strangely determined. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. He was just an engineer who repaired things. But right now, he and Saris might be the only ones who knew the truth. The glow in Saris's palm extended into a thin silver thread, drifting toward a deeper tunnel path. It moved like it was being pulled. Kaelin looked at her. "Is that the direction?" "Yes," she whispered. "We follow that path, and we will find the ones who want war." Kaelin took a breath, tightened his grip on the flashlight, and stepped forward. Saris walked beside him, her whisper steady and calm. Together, they entered the darker part of the tunnel, not knowing what waited for them, but knowing they had no choice. Kaelin walked deeper into the narrow tunnel, his flashlight shaking slightly in his hand. He tried to hold it steady, but every step made his heart beat faster. The metal walls felt tighter the farther they went, and the warm air from the power conduits made the space feel even narrower. Saris walked beside him without a sound, the soft, silver glow in her palm stretching forward like a delicate thread showing them the hidden path. Kaelin checked behind them several times to make sure nothing followed. Saris noticed and whispered, "You fear they are close." "I fear they're everywhere," Kaelin replied quietly. "The Draction Syndicate likes to hide in shadows." Saris nodded. "Shadows are their comfort. But even shadows move when light follows them." Kaelin wasn't sure if that was an Aelari saying or just something she made up, but it made him feel a little steadier. He gave her a small smile. "Well, good thing you brought light." Saris lowered her eyes in her calm, respectful way. "Light is easy to carry." The silver thread she cast from her palm pulled them toward the right side of the tunnel. Kaelin followed, the hum of the energy conduits vibrating beneath his boots. They turned a corner and found a wider junction, where several pipes met. The thread drifted upward toward a narrow maintenance ladder, leading to another level. Kaelin sighed. "Of course. Higher up." Saris placed her hand lightly on the ladder. "I will follow. You must lead, because your weight will test the rungs." "Are you calling me heavy?" Kaelin asked, with a nervous laugh. Saris blinked, confused. "No. You are statistically heavier. Humans carry more mass." Kaelin chuckled. Aelari humor was complicated, but her honesty was somehow comforting. He grabbed the ladder and climbed. Each step made the metal creak under him, but it held. Saris climbed right behind him, moving lightly like a piece of cloth floating on air. The space above opened into a long horizontal shaft. It was dimly lit by emergency strips, but the silver thread from Saris's palm grew brighter. "They are close," she whispered. Kaelin swallowed hard and crouched low. He moved slowly across the shaft, trying not to make noise. Saris followed, her robes flowing silently behind her. They reached a corner where a small opening looked into a deeper chamber. Kaelin glanced through the gap and froze. Inside the chamber were three figures, covered in rough, mismatched armor. Their helmets had sharp edges, their devices glowed in uneven colors, and their movements were quick and impatient. Draction agents. One of them stood beside a projection, showing the Aelari ship. Another tapped on a stolen station console. The third paced back and forth, carrying a weapon-like tool that crackled with blue sparks. Kalen leaned back, his breath shaking. Saris placed her hand gently on his shoulder. Her touch was cool and calming. "They are preparing something," she whispered. Kalen nodded. "They're setting up a larger sabotage. If they damage the ship again, it'll look like your vessel is unstable or dangerous. And humans may react with fear," Saris whispered. "Exactly," Kalen said. Saris looked through the gap again, her eyes focused. "We must act. But we cannot fight them directly. They are trained for conflict." Kalen let out a weak laugh. "Yeah, I'm just an engineer. I fix things. I don't stop criminals." Saris whispered, "Today, you do both." Her words gave him strength he didn't know he needed. Kalen peered into the chamber again, studying the room. There were wires hanging from the ceiling, crates stacked along the walls, and several small drones charging in the corner. Suddenly, one Draction agent spoke loudly, their voice echoing through the chamber. "We finish this now. Once the human station detects the false energy surge, they'll assume the Aelari vessel is unstable. The humans will ground it, the Aelari will protest, and the sparks will fly on their own." Another agent laughed harshly. "War without us firing a single shot. The perfect prophet." Saris's whisper tightened. "They want conflict for gain." Kalen clenched his jaw. "We can't let them finish." He looked around the small shaft they hid in. His eyes landed on a maintenance hatch above their heads. "If I can reach that vent," he whispered to Saris, "I can drop into the chamber from above and hit their console. It'll shut down whatever program they're running." Saris studied the setup. "It is risky. They may react quickly. Then. I'll distract them," Kalen said. "You find a way to record them saying all that. If we get proof, we can stop everything." Saris hesitated. "You will be alone." Kalen gave her a steady look. "Not alone, just ahead." A silver shimmer crossed her cheeks. Something like fear mixed with trust, but she nodded. "I will record, and I will warn you if they turn." Kalen climbed up silently toward the maintenance hatch. It opened with a soft click. From above, he could see the entire chamber more clearly. The Draction agents worked fast, adjusting wires and tapping commands. He crawled onto a narrow support beam and positioned himself above the main console. Saris remained in the shadows below, activating her diagnostic stone. It floated beside her silently, its glow fading as it recorded everything. Kalen took a deep breath. He wasn't a fighter. He wasn't trained for danger. He was just a mechanic who understood machines and could take things apart. So that's exactly what he planned to do. He dropped from the beam, landing directly on top of the console. The impact shocked the Draction agents. Sparks flew. The console screen cracked. Several wires snapped loose from the force of his landing. Kalen shouted, "Stop right there." All three agents spun toward him. One lunged forward. Another grabbed their weapon tool. And the third tried to shut down the damaged console. Kalen rolled off the console and ducked behind a crate. The loud crack of the Draction weapon filled the chamber. A bolt of energy struck the wall above his head, leaving a smoking mark. Saris, still hidden, whispered into her communi stone, sending an emergency alert to the hangar systems. Kalen heard her soft voice but didn't understand the words she was speaking in Aelari, quickly and urgently. The Draction agent nearest him shouted, "Human rat, come out!" Kalen grabbed a loose metal pipe from the floor. "Not happening." He peeked around the crate. The agent charged. Kalen swung the pipe and hit the agent's arm. The weapon tool dropped with a clang, The agent hissed and stumbled. But they weren't out. Kalen dodged another swing and backed toward the damaged console. The console, though cracked, still flickered with half-working controls. Kalen reached for the main power line and yanked it hard. The entire chamber dimmed. The Draxian projection blinked out. Their program was ruined. The second agent screamed in frustration and raised a drone controller. Kalen had seconds to react. Suddenly, a soft whisper traveled through the room. "Kalen, move left." He didn't question it. He moved, instantly. A drone shot forward toward where he had been standing. It smashed into the crate and exploded in sparks. Kalen breathed hard. Grateful Saris warned him in time. The agents regrouped, furious. "Get the human," one shouted. But Saris finally stepped out of the shadows. Her presence was calm but powerful. The silver glow in her palm expanded into a wide arc. The Draxian agents paused, confused. She whispered one word. Kalen didn't know what it meant, but it carried weight. A soft wave of energy burst from her palm, not enough to harm, but enough to push. The wave struck the agents, throwing them backward. They hit the wall hard and fell to the ground, dazed. Kalen stared. "How did you—" "Aelari Whisper Tech," Saris said softly. "A projection of pressure. Very old. Very rare." Kalen blinked. "Remind me never to get on your bad side." Saris almost smiled. Kalen quickly restrained the stunned agents with nearby cables. Saris used her diagnostic stone to capture their confessions and the damaged equipment. Then she whispered, "We must go. Others may come." Kalen nodded, adrenaline still rushing. As they ran back through the tunnels, Saris stayed close, her calm voice guiding him. Everything felt unreal. He had fought criminals, destroyed a sabotage device, and survived thanks to a whisper. When they finally reached the hangar ladder, Kalen leaned against the wall, exhausted. Saris stood beside him, steady as ever. "We have proof," she whispered. "Now we can save both our people." Kalen met her eyes, breathing hard. "And we're not done yet." Saris nodded. "No, the most dangerous moment is the one after truth is found." Together, they climbed up, ready for whatever came next. Kalen climbed out of the tunnel first, pulling himself up with tired arms. His clothes were dusty, his face streaked with sweat, and his breathing was heavy. Saris climbed out right behind him, moving lightly despite everything they had gone through. Her calm expression did not hide the strain in her eyes. The moment they stepped into the hangar again, they knew the situation had changed. The space was no longer quiet. Several alarm lights blinked near the ceiling, warning of unauthorized activity. The shadows felt deeper, as if someone had moved through the hangar while they were gone. Kalen wiped his forehead. Saris listened silently, her eyes scanning every corner. "The air has changed. Movement passed through here recently. Well, in the Gansted, to have passed it." Kalen wasn't sure how she sensed that, but he trusted her instincts now. She had saved him more than once already. He checked the Aelari ship. It still sat on the deck, quiet and peaceful, its blue lights soft as moonlight. But even from a distance, he could see something new. Small scratches near the landing gear. Someone had been close. Too close. Saris moved toward the ship, her robes brushing softly against the floor. Kalen followed her, checking the ship's controls. Nothing seemed broken. But he knew better than to trust appearances. They're desperate now. If they know we recorded their confession, they'll try something bigger. Saris placed her hand on the ship, whispering a short phrase in Aelari. A pale glow spread across the hull. Kalen watched in awe as the light revealed faint energy patterns, shadows left by the Draxian drones. Saris traced them slowly. "They left quickly," she whispered. "Good," Kalen said. "Because we need backup." He rushed to the hangar console, and opened a communication line to Commander Thorne. The screen flickered. Then the commander's tired face appeared. "Kalen? Why are there alarm signals coming from your section?" "Sir, we found Draction agents in the maintenance tunnels," Callan said, forcing the words out quickly. "We have their recorded confession. They sabotaged the Elari ship and planned more attacks." Commander Thorne stared, stunned. "What? That's impossible. Security would have detected." Callan cut in. "They hid their tech inside our conduits. They used stolen tools. They're trying to start a conflict between humans and Elari." Saris stepped beside Kalen and bowed her head politely. "Commander Thorne, we bring proof. Please open your secure channel." Her calm whisper carried surprising weight. Thorne blinked, then switched to a secure mode. Callan uploaded the recording from Saris's diagnostic stone. The screen filled with the image of the Draction agents speaking openly about their plan. The commander's expression changed from disbelief to anger. "This is worse than I thought," he muttered. "We'll lock down the station immediately." Callan sighed with relief. "Sir, there's more. I think the main sabotage device is still active. They wanted to trigger a false energy surge inside the Elari ship. If you lock down the wrong systems, the surge could activate automatically." Thorne froze. "Where is the device?" Kalen pointed to the floor beneath them. "Somewhere under Hangar C, deep inside the conduits." The commander cursed under his breath. "We'll send security teams. But you know the tunnels better than anyone. You two are closest. Can you reach it before it activates?" Saris looked at Callan. Callan looked at Saris. They didn't need words. "Yes," Kalen said. "We'll go." Thorne nodded sharply. "I'll guide you from here. Hurry." The screen closed. Saris turned, her whisper steady. "Time is short." Kalen grabbed his tools again, lighter ones this time, the kind used for delicate work. He didn't know what kind of device they'd find, but he knew it would be dangerous. Saris extended her palm. The silver glow returned, shaping itself into a long thread again. "It will lead us to the surge emitter. Energy seeks energy." Together, they ran toward a different maintenance shaft on the side of the hangar. This one was narrower, more cramped. Kalen climbed down quickly, Saris close behind. The warm air hit them immediately. The hum of the conduits was louder than before, almost trembling. The silver thread drifted downward like a guiding line. Kalen followed it, crawling through the tightest spaces he had ever worked in. Pipes pressed against his back, and every wire felt like a trap. Saris moved softly behind him, her glowing thread illuminating the impossible maze of metal. Finally, they reached a small chamber deep underground. Saris whispered, "There." A device sat attached to the main energy conduit, a compact, ugly machine made of scrap metal and glowing wires. It pulsed with rising energy, like a heart beating too fast. If it triggered, it would send a false surge straight into the Elari ship, making it look like the vessel was unstable. Callan crawled closer. "It's charging." Saris knelt beside him. "Can you disarm it?" "Maybe," Callan said, his hands already sweating. "But it's linked to the conduit. If I cut the wrong wire, the surge will fire anyway." Saris looked at the device carefully. The Draction use chaotic wiring to confuse, but energy still obeys natural paths. She pointed to a faint shimmer across one wire. "That wire carries the primary flow. Maybe herring daughter, named by well. Daughter. Wire. Carries the primary flow." Kalen nodded slowly. "If I remove that one first, it might stop the charge. Or it may explode," Saris whispered gently. Callan laughed weakly, comforting. He took a slow breath. His hands moved carefully, gripping the insulated clamp. The device vibrated harder. He felt the heat rising from it. The silver glow from Saris's palm spread onto the machine, calming the energy patterns so he could see them more clearly. She whispered, "Now." Kalen pulled the primary wire. The machine sparked violently. For one terrifying second, the chamber filled with bright light. Then everything went dark. The machine stopped vibrating. The conduit stabilized. Callan fell backward, gasping. I think we did it. Saris kneeled beside him. Her eyes glowed softly in the dim tunnel. We saved many lives. Callan warred. He laughed shakily. I almost lost mine. She tilted her head. But you did not. Humans have strange bravery. Callan sat up slowly. And Elari have strange calm. They both smiled slightly. The moment didn't last long. Their communicators beeped. Commander Thorne spoke. The Draxian agents in the tunnels are in custody. The station is secure. You two need to return immediately. The Aelari Council wants to speak to you. Callan groaned. Now we get interviewed? Saris touched his arm gently. Do not worry. Aelari interviews are quiet. Callan smiled. That's the first good news I've heard in hours. They crawled back through the tunnels, climbed the ladder, and returned to the hangar. Security officers were everywhere now, scanning every corner. The moment Saris appeared, several stepped aside respectfully. Callan felt strangely proud walking beside her. The hangar doors opened, and a holographic projection of the Aelari Council appeared tall, glowing figures with calm eyes. They spoke in gentle tones, thanking Saris and Callan for their bravery in preventing conflict. One council member said, Human engineer Callan Ward, your actions show strength of spirit. You protect without demand. You act with courage, without expectation. Callan swallowed. Thank you. I just did what was right. Another council member spoke softly. Saris Valuna, your guidance honored the constellate. You represent us with truth, calm, and bravery. Saris bowed deeply. When the projection faded, Callan sighed in relief. Saris turned to him. Quietly, almost playfully, she whispered, Do you want me now, or later? Callan froze again, but this time he understood her completely. She meant, Do you want my help now, or when things calm down? He finally smiled, relaxed for the first time that day. Now is fine, Saris. Saris smiled too gentle, bright, warm. Then, I will stay. Together, they stood in the hangar. Two unlikely allies who stopped a war with nothing but courage, trust, and a whisper.